call me crazy, but what if I told you that the AMG CLA 45S is actually a bargain, value for money? And what if I told you that AMG's best four-door saloon is actually their least powerful? Oh, and it just happens to be supermodel gorgeous and supercar quick. This is a CLA 45S AMG, and it also happens to be the least expensive AMG saloon. Sounds like a perfect car, right? That's my conclusion as well. You know what? I'm glad we agreed so that I don't have to do this review. I just want to do more driving. Wait, oh. You're telling me I gotta do this because it's my job? Okay, fine. You know what? CLA 45 AMG, let's just roll the intro. So what is this thing? It is a four-door coupe that's essentially a prettier version of the A45 Mega Hatch, but with roughly 1,000% more class and none of the boy racer stigma or overcompensation syndrome. But it has kept all the good parts too, with the same hand-built engine that has the same energy density and fury of a neutron star and mind-bending 4MATIC all-wheel drive system. That means mega power and mega grip. 0 to 100 in 4.1 seconds. Oh. Top speed 270 kilometers per hour. But the numbers alone don't tell the story of this car. Let me explain more. So for a long time, the default AMG has always been the Daddy C, the C55, which then became the C63. That's how it went. The M3, the C63, and the RS4. Out of all those three, the AMG was always the brute, the big V8, the rear-wheel drive, which went from a supercharged 5.5 litre to an NA 6.2 litre to a bi-turbo 4 litre. And they also added all-wheel drive in the mix somewhere in there, which, let's be real, probably saved some lives. But the V8 era stopped with the B8 RS4, the E92 M3, and the W205 C-Class. And the Audi went V6 turbo, the Bimmer went straight 6 turbo, but the new W206 C63 is now a PHEV with a 2-litre engine, which sounds more like the default choice in a Volvo. Actually, right now, the C63 is called the AMG C63S E-Performance. So the CLA 45 is like the template. The C63 now is just a CLA 45 with extra steps. Subjectively, looks-wise, I pretty much find no fault with it. Proportionally, I think it's sublime. It has just a bit more shoulders and muscle flex over the standard CLA, just enough so you'd notice. But then again, the C118 does have a pretty perfect side profile and sloping roofline. The Panamericana grille up front is always a menacing sight in the rearview mirror, and these 19-inch wheels are the same ones on the A45, which might be a hit or miss because it demands something more overly aggressive on that, but it does better here with the CLA's more subdued aesthetic. Maybe AMG thought in the end it was too low-key and splashed all the AMG logos they could find at this thing. We counted a total of 29 logos. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to like it that much because I wasn't really a fan of the older CLA or the A-Class. Like, I thought both of them had too high of a nose, almost like an MPV, and they had too much of a front overhang, a bit like an overbite. And of the two, the old CLA I wasn't really a big fan of. I thought it looked, from a certain angle, it looked like it was always squatting down, like its back end was lower than its front end, a bit like a hyena, like it was crawling around with its legs all broken up. By the way, sorry to all the W176 and C117 fans out there, okay? But look at this, okay? It is so much better looking. All I want to do is just hold it and caress it a little bit. It's so good looking, it's so nice, so pert. Anyway, that over, look, it opens up to a nice and healthy 460-litre boot. Yes, there's a bit of a load lip over here, and there is no spare tire, just a bit of subwoofer and tire inflation kit over here. You can't really fold down the rear seats. But as far as supercar goes, this is probably the most practical. So God tier practicality for your super fast saloon car. You have quad tailpipes, which is customary, but the thing is, it's heartbreaking to find out that these aren't actually connected to the exhaust. There's a little tailpipe, you know, beyond here, but the quad tailpipes, the finishers, don't actually connect. The AMG spec does get the entire interior almost decked out in Alcantara. So you have Alcantara on the door panels, on the seats as well, and the seats for the back passengers. They're pretty comfortable. They in fact have some bolstering on the side over here. I would say because this is an all-wheel drive car, got a drive line right through here. It's quite a big hump in the center, so that means it's more of a strict four-seater. Unless you're in an emergency or a really small person wants to tag along, fine. You do get also these air vents and a USB-C port conveniently right there. Under thigh support for myself, not a lot to be honest, but I do feel quite comfortable in here for the backrest. Legroom, I'm 165 and this is where I sit. I got a lot of legroom actually. Headroom, yeah, just barely enough for me. If you're looking for a car for tall people, this might not be the one for you. In fact, if you were to choose between the AMGs, the A45 would be better because of course it is a normal like hatchback roofline, more headroom over here. But overall, it is nice. It is very nice. I mean, over in the front, I gotta say, this just reinforces the fact that Mercedes-Benz with the A-Class and the CLA have the best feeling, most quality interior of any small premium hatchback or sedan. You know, like the 1 Series, the RS3/A3, whatever, can't compete. This feels so solid and well built, and just the wow factor is everywhere here. Then of course you get the AMG touches, right? Like I said, you have all this Alcantara and soft touch red stitching around here. AMG gratuitously placed over here. You get AMG on the steering wheel as well. And scattered around, you also get some AMG logos. But really the AMG, the biggest touch here is the seats. And these seats, my God, they're so good. It really sells that sports car sensation because you sit in it, all the side bolstering really hugs you, and you just feel like you're sat low down in something really serious. So in front, tech-wise, you get quite a usual package, okay? 2 screens up front. You get Apple CarPlay with a wireless charger down here, so wireless CarPlay. And you get a Burmester sound system. So all this is not going to detract from the fact that you have a luxury car with a luxury multimedia system. I gotta say though, the wireless charger, because it is slanted, doesn't really hold my iPhone very well and therefore doesn't really charge. So yeah, no points for that. Also a little bit lame is the fact that you have this IWC stopwatch thing over here to time, I don't know, time your showers or something, I don't know. And then you also have this track pace thing, which also has like data from different racetracks. Unfortunately, Sepang isn't even in this thing. But none of that really matters because despite all the gimmicky stuff, all that really matters is the steering wheel. Feels really good. Alcantara and leather, okay? The paddle shifters feel really good as well. They have this really nice clicking sensation and they're very easy to just kind of like get adjusted to. And down here, you have these dual Manatino type things, but it's German, so I don't know how you pronounce it, like Heinz Manatinos. Just spin it around, Sport, Sport Plus, Race, and on the other hand side over here, you can actually adjust the suspension settings for the adaptive dampers and the loud exhaust button. And you know, hopefully all these settings can give you a bit more control over that beast under the bonnet. This is the legendary M139, and the plaque here is what makes this a true AMG. Hand assembled in a Falterback, I'm guessing, one man or woman, one engine. In this case, it's a guy called Fabrizio Mazio. Not a very German name, I must say. I was expecting something like a Hans or a Gunther or a Adolf. All right, where do I start with this, okay? This is a geek fest of a motor. 420 horsepower, 500 Newton meters of torque from a 2-liter turbo. Not even a twin turbo, okay? A single, huge twin-scroll turbo. And it produces about 30 psi, about 2.1 bar of pressure of boost. So that means this engine is the most powerful 4-cylinder 2-liter engine in series production. And it's only been beaten by itself of this engine that is also found in the C63. For 5 years it's held that title and it's not going to be beaten, I don't think, ever. So this engine per liter of displacement is producing 210 PS. That is 105 PS per cylinder. How Mercedes can offer this and not have it explode with a warranty is crazy, and they've done some crazy engineering things to make that possible. And they focused on 2 things really, cooling and reducing friction. Number 1, this turbo is cooled 3 ways, by air, by water, and engine oil, which in this car is pretty thin at 0W20 grade. Number 2, even the aircon will help calm down the intercooler in max power conditions. Number 3, the turbines within the turbo use roller bearings. Number 4, its cylinder walls are coated with something called nano slide, which sounds like a lube of the naughty kind. So I know I said this engine is a bit like a neutron star, so much heat and energy packed in such a condensed space. I've actually burned my finger a couple of times trying to lift the bonnet after driving because it's so condensed and so angry and furious. And the whole thing, plus that injury, has made me fear this car and this engine a little bit. All I gotta do is just turn this little Manatino dial thing to sport or Sport Plus or Race, and this thing just transforms. Oh my god, it's so ferocious. Holy 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 okay. Wow. Unbelievable. 420 horsepower. By the way, you hear that noise, don't you? It is sort of piped in through the speakers. So you know, it's a good thing you have this premium set of Burmester speakers. So the audio of the piped engine noise sounds really good. Yeah, it won't sound as good as a V8 or a V6 or a straight 6, but who cares? The sensation is there. It feels frenetic and visceral. Wow. So this is a predominantly front-wheel drive car, but I don't really care about that because all the weight is at the front anyway, and the way this thing just grips, it just kind of claws into the corner and pulls you out of it. But there's no sense of instability at the rear end because it's splitting that torque. So you get a nice rotation. The grip is so strong. Sport Contact 6 tires all around. Wow. The steering, so direct, so direct. Yeah, it's not feelsome, but every single micro input I put into the steering wheel, I'm feeling through the chassis. The body control is amazing. It's so compact. This is not a very, very, wide road, and I probably should be on a wider road, but it's so compact and so agile. I can just thread it so precisely. Really good stuff. It is such an adrenaline shot. The adrenaline kicks in with this car, and now it's fading off a little bit. I'm slowing down, and then the dopamine hits, and you end up smiling like a dope. Oh, this is such a good driver's car, and because it's the lightest, I can't imagine that the C63 or the AMG GT4 door is any better than this. They're bigger, fatter, more complicated. This is just, yeah, it's a 2-liter, but it's a huge turbo, and it's been tuned and hand-built to perform. It is a performance engine. You feel it. You feel it. It reverberates through the entire chassis, up your spine. This car is a monster. Driving this car as a daily is pretty good because, yes, it's a firm car. We can establish that they run on 19-inch wheels, and the tires aren't really, meant for comfort. They're Sport Contact 6, very grippy and sticky, but not very pliant. Okay, you feel that. If you're used to driving around in Mercedes-Benz's SUVs with air suspension and everything, yeah, this is a far cry from that. That being said, this car is quite pliant. I'm going over some not so super smooth roads right now, and I'm not uncomfortable. It's firm. You can tell that the car doesn't really want to flex too much, but it's not uncomfortable. And you can tell too, the adaptive dampers are the ones actually absorbing the impacts, because as far as I can tell, the body flex isn't doing very much. The sidewalls and the tires aren't doing very much. The springs are there to keep the ride height, but then the adaptive dampers, yeah, that's the one that is really trying hard to kind of smoothen all these things out. I'm in traffic right now. There's no sensation to me that I'm driving anything but a normal city car, albeit more luxurious. There's a lot of Alcantara and leather and premium soft touch materials and metallic satin finish things for me to look at and shine the light off of. But besides that, everything is really nice. The noise levels, you do get some road noise, okay? So these tires aren't very, they're not the quietest in the world, but it's not excessive. It's still refined. I would still call it refined. And just threading it through traffic, it's got really fast steering and really light steering too. So it's very easy to thread through traffic. I'm sure if I put the keys into my mom's hands, she might not want to drive it, but she can. She can park. Speaking of parking, that really clear 360 cam is so useful because you can definitely tell, and that paired with the super clear screen, you can really tell all the little details of what's on the road as you park. You've got no trouble. Even at night, it is very clear. So yeah, as a daily car, I can't think of a 420 horsepower daily car that offers you this much accessible performance, but then you just kind of turn everything to comfort, it just so easily settles down and becomes your pasar car if you want. Got a big boot at the back, got 4 seats, got 4 doors. What else do you want, really? I could totally live with this car. In fact, I could get married, have a couple of kids, and still hold on for dear life. As much as my wife complains and threatens a divorce, I will hold on to my Mercedes CLA 45S AMG. So if you do want to conserve your fuel, you can in this car, okay? It's a 2-liter turbo after all, which is not that bad. All I got to do is resist temptation to floor it and put the hammer down. So right now I'm doing about 6.5 liters per 100 km, but I'm I'm on a bit of a downhill thingy, so it's not really consuming that much fuel. But it's quiet. I got my CarPlay set up, my Burmester sound system ready to go. I can just open the sunroof for a bit more light and a bit more mood in the cabin, and it's nice. I can turn on my active cruise control, which I won't do right now, but all I gotta do in this car is resist temptation. It just wants to egg you on to just make the next overtake, put your foot down, and leave everybody else in the dust. But you shouldn't do that, okay? Over the last couple of days, and I haven't been nursing the gas, I've been doing about 10 liters per 100 km. And I admit that's not great, but it's not bad either for something with genuinely supercar performance and acceleration and tech and features and safety and practicality, yada yada yada. It's really not bad. It's really good, actually. Imagine trying to do 9 liters per 100 km in a C63 with a V8 or an E63 with a V8. No. But this offers you about 9 out of 10 of the performance, of the rush of driving those cars, especially in the corners, but offers you fuel consumption and that daily practicality. And on the road right now, I have no complaints. There is tire noise, so if I really wanted to, and I wore down these Sport Contact 6 tires, maybe I would replace them with something else that is more quiet, because I'm not going to be on the track all the time. I'm going to be here, and I'm going to be here on the highway in the city. Maybe on the weekends I'll go up to Genting or whatever, Uluyam, have a bit of fun. So I'll get quieter tires, and that'll solve that problem, and then it becomes like a perfect car. If this wasn't already evident to you guys, this is sort of a dream car level car for me, because it is so well rounded, and I'm just in love with how it looks. Summing up the CLA 45S, I really love it. If you can't really already tell, it is such a good blend of sexy looks and performance and practicality, and it just works as a daily driver which has supercar performance. For 528K, I can't really imagine this car has too many competitors, because it gives you about 85% of the driving sensations and the feel-good factor, the dopamine shots Porsche 718 Cayman. But it costs less than that car, and has 4 seats, and has 4 doors, and has a big boot. I just can't really square that circle, guys. It is also an antidote to all the AMGs, all the AMG SUVs that cost too much, that weigh too much, are too high off the ground, and therefore not really well rounded in the corners. And this thing sits so low and just drives so well. And you look at the other saloon cars in the AMG stable, you have the C63, which is a hybrid and way too heavy now, even though it has a lot of power. Then you have the AMG GT 4-door, which is also like a CLS, but they call it an AMG GT. It looks just like this, but just fatter. Why wouldn't you get this? This is the real MVP of the AMG range.